Hello, LEGO fans. Bricks Unbound here with another Building Hogwarts update. And once again today, we will be making our way back behind the castle. You can actually see what I've been working on right through here. So that is the base of the gatehouse for the suspension bridge. And then underneath it, some rock work to make it a little bit more interesting, as well as that's Gryffindor Tower in that back corner. And then some rock work underneath there, including a few hidden details. So let's go around and take a look. And at first glance, it doesn't necessarily seem like I've accomplished a whole lot here, but it was actually quite a bit of time and effort, because before, all that was holding up this section were supports like what we're seeing over here under the viaduct entrance hall. Ignore the owlery. It's sitting there right now because otherwise I would knock it over all the time when I was working on this section. But it was just blank supports there, very open, lots of gaps. So this very badly needed to be done, so the rock work is a little bit more continuous from the front of the castle through the back. It still isn't done by any means. There's quite a bit more detail I'd like to put on there, using slopes and some green pieces and things to just make it look a little bit more lively and interesting. And of course, all of the watery section that will be in here. But focusing on what I've built up here. So extended or put rock work under here, extended the tower down to match the height of it. And then just kind of continued that along. There's this flatter area here. Because when I was looking at pictures of the model, there are these two kind of support columns here that jut out from the side of this section. And they do go down to a relatively flat area. So I figure I can have some students or people of some kind wandering around down here, taking a break, practicing some magic, something like that. And I'll make it look a little bit greener, so more of a grassy type space. And to get there, I decided, well, they need the way to get there, so why don't I put a little hidden door in the side of the gatehouse over here? So I did. So yeah, it's a perfectly functioning door. It doesn't lead to anything inside other than just open space. I could someday actually put details inside there if I want, because right now everything from about this height down is just pretty much open space underneath. It's just these types of support columns, every 8 to 16 studs, depending on how heavy the thing sitting on top of it is. But I thought that made it a little bit more interesting. And then also underneath this rock section, because it's just completely hollow, I just made it look like a little cave entrance of some kind. I don't know what I'll put in there. Right now you can see a support in the back that's not the right color, or that stands out because it's a bright color, but I can put something else in here. It's right beside the Devil's Snare area. I don't know what I want to put in here, but I can put something. So I guess if you have an idea for what could go in that little cavern, let me know. It doesn't necessarily have to be a canon thing. I don't know if there's a whole lot of information about areas like that in this particular section of the castle. So it could be the den of some nasty beast or a nest of Acromantula, or who knows. It's just a fun little area that I decided to include because I had open space there. The base of the tower here, I am using a different technique as expected compared to the dirty mock version I made before of the gatehouse itself, which used these smooth panel pieces. But that's very boring looking. And again, this was just to try and figure out basic spacing. It wasn't ever really intended to be the final version. But what I've done, if we zoom in close enough, you can see the separate pieces. But each one of these blocks here are 3 of the 1x2 rounded plate pieces. And yes, that did take a whole lot of them just for this section down here. And then once I go up to the full height of both of these, just for this little section of the castle, it's going to be over 1,000. Over 1,000 of just that piece, just for this little area, which was pretty crazy. But I do think it's going to look pretty good. And like here's roughly what the top of the towers will look. This round plate will be switched out for a dark bluish gray one. I just couldn't find one in my collection, which seems unlikely, so I just need to look a little bit harder. But that'll be up at the tops of the towers here. And I think that texturing looks a lot better than just the plain panels there. But this did its job, and let me figure out sizing and spacing, and I think it'll look pretty good once the new and improved version of it is built up and put into place. I do think I'm going to need to change this window to maybe be like a doorway, so then you can actually get into this floor of the castle, or maybe you can get to the top of this gatehouse from the inside, I guess is more what it would be used for. Might look all right, depending on where the final height of this ends up being. It's going to be kind of close to this, just because it needs to line up across the way with the entrance to the Defense Against the Dark Arts Tower, because the suspension bridge will have its cables that connect to here, or potentially lower down. I can adjust that with some rebuilding, but not a huge deal. Those are both relatively easy sections to get at to adjust the height of where they'll connect. But that will span across here and have the cables that curve down and then back up and attach somewhere up there. I don't have the bridge completely done, but it's going to be slightly lower than where it's currently at because I'm bashing it into the top of this big ugly rock piece. But it will go right up basically to the doors on both sides. So I do need to lengthen it slightly. And then the ends will have more support under them that'll actually be holding most of the weight of it. So I have this flat area here where I can build up that support structure once I decide exactly how I want to do it. Because the suspension, like cables themselves, won't really have much weight on them just for the sake of their stability, but it's a pretty sturdy bridge without those currently, so I think that'll work out fine. But anyway, that pretty much does it for this video. Quite a bit of time and effort and definitely pieces went into this section. Even with using the big ugly rock pieces, there's gaps in things between them that had to be filled in with regular old bricks. So it was quite a bit more parts intensive than I was necessarily expecting. Pretty much ran out of my regular dark bluish gray, like 2x2, 2x4, 2x6 bricks. So I have a bunch more of those coming in on order. I guess one other thing I wanted to mention is I did really like this design here. So I think eventually anywhere where I'm currently using these panel pieces on the castle, I would like to switch over to that. I mean, first prime candidate is here, but that's not even a completed thing. But there's a little side tower off this building. And then the bigger one, there'll be a lot more work, is this astronomy tower one. Because the rest of the tower is so big around it, it's not the worst thing ever. But I wouldn't mind having that be the more textured, blocky looking version instead of just smooth panels. I guess I could always put some stickers on there or something, but I don't think that looks quite as good either. So a couple other spots I might do a little bit of rebuilding, but if these towers alone are going to take like 1,000 of those pieces, it's going to be quite a few more orders before I actually have enough to mess with these other towers, especially this very tall one on the side of the astronomy tower. All right, now I'm actually at the end of the video, so thank you for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and please keep coming back for more videos.